All right, this is going to be a much belated and much needed update on where construction stands and what's going on out there right now. I got some notes. So the first thing to talk about is our new parking area. Primary goods is directional. It needs to stay directional because it's the busiest trail. The entrance from this parking lot is very confusing because a little portion of the loop effectively has to be bi-directional so you can get to and from the lower parking lot. So what we are looking at doing is closing down this little section of trail right here that's under the red pointer and bringing people, making you come up here and then head back out and then building a new little section of trail that drops you down so that this will just be to and from lower parking lot. And then here you will have a single point where it turns into a directional by day loop. And we can have a sign that says on these days, go this way, on these days, go that way. We have also sort of revisited which trails really ought to be black and blue the more we have built and as we've rewalked some of these flag lines. For example, 27, which is over here, was slated to be a black trail, as was 17, as was 25. The reality is, because of rock content, we can't make those trails any harder than 12 and 14. So we're going to call 12 and 14 black and probably try to go back through and spice them up a little bit. 15 needs some spicing up, and there's some opportunity to do that to make it black. And then ultimately, we would like to make 16 black. There's some rock, and there's an easy enough to get in rock, and that's doable. We would then let 25 be blue. 17 is being built. It is already built, and it's blue. And we would let 27 be hiking only. And in doing that, we would be leaning into a parking area, which is at the flat spot where we already park on some work days and it's this grassy, a small parking lot equivalent in size to the current small parking lot over here. And we designate this as the hiking parking lot. This is the biking parking lot. And this would be sort of overflow. And via this trode or old road bed, it's about a mile if hiking's full and you need to park over here to get over here to the quote unquote hiking trailhead. That would also allow us to not gate this parking lot at the road and with the idea that the hiking trails could pretty much be open almost all the time. And we would close this gate for the biking trails. The compliance with trail closures has been awesome, and it's hugely appreciated. But the reality is that gate doesn't stop you from riding the trail. So we think that it will continue to serve its purpose of just reminding people, making them feel like they're doing something wrong, which they are, if they go ride when the trails are closed, and we could allow hiking much more of the year, especially in the winter, with this small hiking trailhead. So what we're building right now is probably the next best place to go. So, and we've been very flexible and sort of reactive to what we've seen on the ground, and we've made adjustments and Trail Solutions, the design build contractor, has been great in working with us on that. What we have built is 10 from right here over to here down to here. And we've built down to here, 17 down, and then 22 is in the process of being built. The machines are right here. As soon as the machines get built down to here, they're going to circle back around and fix a couple of things here that have shown up. And we will then open these trails. That should be hopefully end of the month, which would be very end of April, early May. For right now, we're going to use the road to get from D to this entrance to 10. This is going to get built later. We pulled 10 up to the road so we could avoid building this section of 19 because it was actually kind of a climb, and 19 is a downhill gravity trail, and it was just not an efficient use of funds to build this when you could either scoot up the road or you could come around 10 and get to it this way. This is not an annoyingly long section of road at all. So that'll work fine. On 11, we're going to let it's blue down to here, really teal, which is kind of between green and blue. And all this will be teal. We're going to start and name a different trail here that'll be black. There's an ocean of rock right here. But we ran out of time to get it done this build. So what we did is we jumped ahead to F, and we're building down 11 and building it black. And we should hit here the end of the end of the month, say about the same time, and open this. The way we will ride it until this fall, when we can build 11 or hike it, run it, we'll probably come down these switchbacks and right in here, just do a little rake and ride that cuts out to the road, just because it's going to be more fun to use these switchbacks than it is to go down the road. This is relatively flat, and then we'll do a little rake and ride to get into here so you can ride it down. All right, so that's how 11 is going to work. And this fall, really first on deck is this little section of 11. So we're not having to use this road. That gets us to these orange lines. All right, so before we get there, once at the end of this month or early May, once we have more of a web of trails via these new trails and not just one big blue loop, no blue trails will be directional other than the gravity trails. I mean, lickety split's always one way, bike only downhill, 19 will be the same way, 20 will be the same way. But all the cross-country blue trails, the multi-use trails, none of them will be directional because it's just going to be annoying, and it's a big property. It's not an urban like loop system where you have these discrete loops that you can run directionally. The only trail I'm really worried about, the main one is 8. Because it's coming right out of the parking lot, and the sight lines are really good. It's not a safety issue. It is a user enjoyment issue. So what I think we're going to do, or what we are going to do, is we are going to sign 28 and 31 as climbing trails, meaning bikes can only go uphill, hikers can go whichever way they want, runners can go whichever way they want. And I think we're going to be able to squeeze in a couple of switchbacks right here where this wall, where it gets super steep, so that this is a little bit easier climb up to the top. And then we're going to drop a little sign right here that says quickest way to the top, no downhill bike traffic. And so hopefully people get the message that, hey, when the trails are crowded and the parking lot's a little full, like probably best just to scoot up 28, which will be quick draw, to get up to the top. And then 31, so Trail Solutions need to do some Sawyer training to get their people certified, some new guys. So I said, well, we can accommodate that. from F down to G, it used to be that you were literally climbing over trees that were 5 high stacked up from the tornado. And it's cleared now, all the way down to here. And we're going to get that sorted. So it's not, it needs to be worn down and used more before it gets really nice to ride a bike up like 28, but it'll get there. And then eventually we can't do it for this section because we got to use it to get down here. But if once we get that built, this will be the same way, signed, and I think we're going to call it straight shot, and it'll be signed, you know, climbing only. And so that'll give people climbing only options to get up and hopefully help some of the congestion. I don't think a whole bunch of people are going to want to climb this anyway, especially with this little teal easy way to get up here. But that'll solve those issues. And then ultimately down here, what we'll do, I think, is work a little bypass around 14. And then this will become 25. Here, this part we'll treat as 25. This part we'll treat as 25. And then we'll probably treat 16 as 25. So this will be one huge long trail. And then this is Tie Snake, which is what it's going to be once we open the trails and break up Lonely Hunter. And Tie Snake is like the Loch Ness monster, the Chattahoochee from Greek mythology. But this will be like upper Tie Snake and lower Tie Snake, and then 25 will be all one thing. And that should be the other issue where 14 can get really tight and pretty fast, and this would solve that. The way that looks, reconfiguring it, and I hope y'all are now seeing the spreadsheet, is, and if we add, I think there's some places we can squeeze in some more hiking only trail, but we need to talk, and we don't have, that's not part of the master plan. So that is a wish, not something we could go build tomorrow if we wanted to. It would give us 25 miles of multi-use, 5 miles of gravity. And I think there may be some chances to get some optional lines in so that figure could bump up a little bit while staying within the trail corridors. And then if you take the climbing, the new purpose-built hiking only, and the trodes, the old road beds, not counting the gravel, but the stuff that's behind gates, that would give you 10 miles of effectively hiking trail for a total of 40 miles. And the difficulty breaks down as 9 miles of green, 7 miles of teal, sort of easier blue, 9 miles of pretty blue to dark blue, and then 6 miles of black for 30 miles of trail available to bikes. So we've paid attention to that, reconfiguring the master plan, and I feel pretty good about how that breaks out. The one final thing is the jump trail, which looks awesome. Please continue to stay off of it. I've ridden a couple of these once, but I make a real point of just to talk with the builders and look at it and kind of cheerlead. But, we try we're not out there sort of riding these things for fun until they're open. And we need everybody to stay off of them, which people have been. It's been amazing to go look and you don't see any tire tracks. The builders are riding 24 a lot because they're flow testing it. But what's going to happen with 24 is it'll come down and dump out here. It is blue jumps, so be cautious and respectful of them. Please don't go roll them. They're kind of designed so that to try to prevent you from doing that because it just wears down the lips. At least, sort of be making a good faith effort to ride them. As soon as we get done with 24, a team's going to go up and start reworking some of the spots on the bug to create more green tables so that we'll have our green jumps and our blue jumps. The bug gets very high frequency. Some of those rollers are too close together and the amplitude's high, and it kind of almost slows you down. And what we'll do is we'll reduce the frequency of the rollers and probably the amplitude a little bit, and then we'll put in some tables. Now, you got to remember how easy it is to climb up here. So, you're not going to turn around and fly downhill without pedaling. So in the average grading on the bug is not steep, but there are sections where, you come around, you get a little bit of downhill, and you can kind of put in a couple of pedal strokes, pump a couple of setup rollers, and then you can have a table or two at the end of that little downhill stretch with enough speed to make it work. And then you're going to get flat and pedal a little bit, whatever, and then you come into another one of those. And so that's what will happen with the bug. This upper section of Lickety Split, really the first about 600 feet, it just doesn't quite work right. It worked right when it was first opened and bone dry, but it just doesn't connect together quite right. And we've got some water issues coming off of this road. So there are 3 people building the Blue Jump Line, which is Suave's, which was the first flight school at the Columbus Airport a long time ago. 2 of them are going to go up and work on the bug for like 10, 15 days, and it'll be closed. And then another is going to come up here and spend about 3 days reworking this first 600 feet. And then Lickety Split, we're going to have to let that dry a little bit. The forecast's looking good, but then we should be able to reopen Lickety Split. Lickety Split has been closed not just because of this first 600 feet, but anytime you build a jump trail like that and you cut into the side slope as much as you do, it just takes longer for the water flow in the hydrology to resort itself and for some of that water to get back underground. And it's just been wet. And we did a lot of work on it, I guess, last 2 Sundays ago. Or no, last Sunday. At any rate, we need to let it dry out so that we don't undo all that work. Because we can't just go in and throw a bunch of rock and drains because we need to keep the speed up. We don't need to chunk it up. And we'll kind of see how it develops. And we may look into like some flagstone or something like that if we need to for some of those sections. But we got to be careful to not just go in and armor a bunch of things. And then we don't have that much elevation to begin with. So you steal more speed in certain spots. And then some of the jumps aren't going to work. So that is the sort of the lowdown of what's going on, what the thought process is. I know there are questions about the management paradigm. I hope to have more on that soon. And again, as we move past raising money, which we still need money, so please give, and we get more of this sorted out, there'll be more time and energy to do a better job of communicating and also to do a better job of group rides. If you are interested in doing group rides, we need people that have a passion for that and that have schedules that allow for consistency so that they can be there to lead group rides. And please reach out to me. If you want to get in touch with me, message the social media accounts, send an email to trails@standingboy.org. But we need those people. And that's going to be a big key to moving forward the way we need to. All right, thank you very much. Again, the builders have been amazed. I was out there a couple of nights ago and we were riding all of this for the first time and looking at it, talking about it. And the builders were like, nobody's been on it. And I was like, yeah, people respect it. They don't go past the tape. They don't ride when the trails are closed. And it's awesome. So that is hugely appreciated and hugely helpful. Thank all of you, and I hope to see you at the trails.